If you're an EdTech professional in a school, your job is in jeopardy every single day. We're going to talk about that next on the EdTech vlog. Hi, I'm Dr. Matt Harris, and this is the EdTech vlog. Today we're going to talk about some personal experiences of mine and something that is close to my heart, and just kind of go through some opinions and some experiences I have had as an EdTech professional. Obviously, I'm very pro on this field. I think that educational technology is the growth area and the focal area of schools right now, and probably for a long time into the future, where we see the potential for innovative, progressive practices that really individualize and personalize instruction. It has to be done through positive uses of technology. Unfortunately, we live in a world that is very traditional in its educational views, and more importantly, very traditional in its uses of assessment for learning. These assessments have been developed for years and years and years, and as has the pedagogic approaches and curricula that weren't prepared for our information-heavy or our digitized society. Now, a number of us professionals have recognized this shift, recognized the potential and the power, and have shifted our approaches and our careers really to jump into this EdTech field. But what I have found in working in schools for years, or being a consultant in schools for a number of different opportunities around the globe, is that our particular field, educational technology, specifically in schools, is a very precarious one. Your job, as I said at the top of this, at the introduction, is in jeopardy. If you're an EdTech coach, an EdTech leader like an IT director or an EdTech director or a CIO, an instructional coach that uses technology, even a computer science or ICT teacher, or even a tech teacher, kind of our older views, your job is not as secure as, say, an English teacher or a division head or a head of school or a principal. Those are jobs that are going to be here for a very long time because they're tied to an older traditional system that is taking a very long time to change. Ours aren't. Ours are progressive, they're needed, but they're not understood. And so this is where it becomes your job to make sure that you're protecting your career, your position, and most importantly, your reputation within the institution. And this is why I have this quote behind my shoulder here, because success within the EdTech space really is never owned. It's also very temporary. It's leased, as my friend Mr. Watt here says, and just like he says, it is due every single day. Any win that you have is temporary and it starts over the next day. Think about your Fitbit or your Apple Watch or something like that. You did a great job and you had 15,000 steps and you exercised for 30 minutes and that's great. Come midnight, that clock resets and you're back to zero. And that's the reality. And it's not fair, but as my mom used to say, whoever told you life was fair? It's the reality that we have to deal with, and it's the reality that you as an EdTech professional need to seize upon in making your determinations about what you're going to do going forward. So I have some suggestions on how to bridge this jeopardy, as it were, and how to build yourself as being a key member of the team regardless of where you are within the organization. So let's just start with a few of them. The first piece is that your reputation is everything. The quality of your work is going to be seen based on your reputation within the organization. So for a coach, that means that you need to be somebody that's trusted, that's reliable, and knowledgeable. So you need to demonstrate that, and you have to be doing this outwardly. So being kind of introverted and just waiting for people to come to you isn't going to work. You are going to have to be proactive in showing what you can offer people throughout the year, throughout the day, throughout every unit that you're connected with. What you're going to find is that people that you helped in September, if you're on a Northern Hemisphere calendar, are not going to remember that you helped them in September when it comes around to May or June. You are going to have to be proactive in connecting with them by establishing your reputation as somebody that will come to them and help them. So it's kind of this reputational management and being proactive. And maybe those are two different things, but they go hand in hand. And within the reputational element, you have to have a reputation for a few things. One, technical knowledge. You have to understand how to use the technology within the context of the classroom, and you need to show that. showing it through professional development opportunities, through solving certain problems, through actually creating some of the large projects that you're looking to do. You need to have those examples, and you need to have a reputation that exceeds the school. People need to know you outside of the school, so when your peers go out and go to a conference or go get drinks with somebody, whatever it is, they go, oh, I know Joe or Michelle or whomever at your school. I heard they're doing these great things in technology. That reputation gives you more permanence and value within the school. Okay? And within this reputation, it's not just a knowledge reputation, but it's also a temperament reputation. You have to be someone that's even-keeled, yet passionate. And that's very hard to do. But you have to be able to show that you care about what's going on, and when people get frustrated and angry for whatever reason, and it's rarely about you, you have to let it roll off your back. Take nothing personal and be even-keeled. But when they're ready to jump in, you have to be ready with them. You have to be holding their hand as they jump off the bridge. Okay? So your reputational element comes in the technical and the understanding and the reliability, but then also in your temperament. And I spoke about it before that it goes hand in hand with this proactivity. You do have to be proactive in working with staff on your campus. This is especially true for coaches and for teachers and even leaders. You have to be out in the forefront of what that next thing is, or in listening to teachers or going to where they are. Technology, in its essence, is not something that is active. It is something that is passive. That's why we're getting away from our notion of computer labs. Kids should not have to go to the technology. It should be there for them. And what teachers and what educators across all strands are viewing around your job is that you're the same way. You as a leader, you as a technical coach or whatever, you're not somebody I should have to go to. You should just be there. And it's not realistic because you're a human being, but that's life. So you have to be proactive in going into those meetings and meeting with those people and keeping appropriate notes going, you know what, we talked about Google Classroom last week, so let's talk about how you're going to use that in whatever you're doing. Or, hey, we were doing Padlet over here. How did that project go? Do you want me to come into the class? And offering your services very proactively gives you value and builds that trust, which makes you invaluable and reduces that jeopardy for your job at the school. Okay? Next is being strategic. So we've talked about having a reputation. We talked about being proactive and showing value directly where people are. Then you have to be strategic. And in your strategic views, you have to be strategic for how technology is going to continuously improve and be sustained at a school. What ends up happening very frequently, and those of us who are leaders and have worked with coaches or have been teachers, know that there is usually a gap that has to be filled. Technology is seen as that gap. Some wonderful enterprise comes in to fill the gap and put technology into the school, and then the honeymoon is over. And sadly, that's when the divorce comes. And I hate using that metaphor, but that's what happens, is that schools after the first year say, you know what, we got it solved, we don't need to do it again. We don't need to invest in this coach anymore, or we don't need to put as much professional development time. And this happens because there are other problems that they're having to deal with, that in the traditional model, once I buy the textbooks, I don't have to think about it again. Technology is not like that. It changes, it evolves, it has a broader scope. And so you have to develop a clear strategy on how you're going to face that challenge and push things forward at your school. Now, this can come in a number of ways. This could come in budgetary strategy around replacement cycles for devices. This could come in professional development strategies where you have different strands that you're focusing on. I was just working with a school a few days ago where they're choosing a different strand within the ISTE standards for every semester for the next 4 years. And they're going to focus on their learning around that and the programs that they're developing around that. That's a great strategy. You need to look at growth. Are we going to need additional people? How do we manage time? And have that laid out. Have that clear and transparent within your discussions with other people so that when they start to forget or they try and renege on something they agreed upon, you say, wait a minute, I've got this strategy. You've agreed to it, and this is what we're planning, and these are the impacts we're looking to have. So by having that strategic view, you're able to further justify that you don't need me tomorrow. You're going to need me for the next 3 years. And then finally, you always have to upskill. You have to be the torchbearer on upskilling. So you need to be on the cutting edge of new technologies. You need to learn about pedagogic impacts of various things. You have to have opinions. This again ties to your reputation, but it allows you to be present and talk about all of the elements that are critical as your strategy evolves. You know, we didn't know that social media was going to have such a large impact 10 years ago, but those of us that were on this cutting edge, we're involved in social media and thinking about what are the pedagogic and operational impacts of this technology, because we know it's going to come. It's hitting everywhere else in society. It's going to come to us. So being that person that upskills. And then I would say last, and I said last before with the upskilling, but I want to tie one other piece that kind of ties all of these things together. It's a strategy, it's a skill developer, it's a reputational element, and it's an active approach. And that is to be present. Be present in every meeting you can. Have lunch with your colleagues. Show up after school to meetings that have nothing to do with you. Your presence shows value. It's a strategy to connect with all the people within your organization. It develops a reputation for you. It shows that you are active in your participation and that you're looking to develop. So those 5 areas are really critical if you want to keep your job, if you want to continue to have impact in your school, and if you're just looking to be more engaged. You know, technology moves, and that's something we really love about technology and education, EdTech, is that there's always something new. Use these strategies and you'll continue to do new things and you'll continue to be excited and engaged, and other people will feed off of that. So I know that was a lot of thoughts just based on my experience. Jump forward on it, or if you want to ask me some questions, please connect with me. And you know what, do me a favor, go down below here and click the button to subscribe to my channel. I'll talk more about coaching and finding champions within your school and finding great ways to support people. But it also gives an opportunity for you to leave some comments or connect with me individually about my experiences in helping teachers and leaders and coaches in this EdTech space really pay for that lease of their success. Because you have a lot of success, we just got to keep it going. Also, please connect with me on Twitter. My handle is @MattHarrisEdD, and I talk a lot about EdTech across schools and where successes can be found. So if you connect with me on there, we can have some dialogue and chat and talk about some ways to help you individually or things that you're doing within your school. Hey, thanks a lot for listening, and have a great day.